injured in the fight at the home ultimately sued the homeowner and the daughter who hosted the party. And in that situation, she had gone out and purchased an abundance of alcohol, and as well the drugs were available. And in the limited context that the court dealt with it, which was a motion for summary judgment, which is a process that allows a plaintiff or a defendant to bring the case to
the case just be dismissed or dealt with right at the front.
Right.
Yeah.
And in this situation, the court dismissed the claim against the parents, but maintained that under social host and occupier's liability, there was still possibly some duty on the daughter who hosted the party.
Okay. I want to talk more about occupier's liability, but first I want to take a call from Dan in Vancouver. Dan?
Yes.
Hi.
Good evening.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thank you. Just wondering about inviting guests out to a restaurant or, you know, a lounge.
Yeah.
And what would happen in that event if one was paying the tab and having guests at a restaurant and one of them were to over.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because there was a case a few years ago in Edmonton, involved Stage West Theatre there. A company paid for its employees to go see the show, have dinner, have a few drinks, and that was the way that they celebrated their Christmas, New Year's. And one of the couples, or two couples, ate and drank together, and there was an accident on the way home. The one guy who had too much to drink, of course, is driving them home. But what's the difference between the being out in a commercial environment as opposed to being in somebody's home?
The difference is that if you're in the commercial environment, there's a few differences actually. First of all, under the Liquor Licensing Act, the commercial establishment has a duty, a statutory duty, not to serve to the point of intoxication.
They're supposed to monitor what they're serving.
That's right. You have trained staff, people who have taken the Smart Serve course. You have hopefully sober servers, and you also have a way to monitor each person's consumption. So there is a higher standard when you're talking about dealing with commercial
Right. Let's talk some more about this and the occupier's liability thing. I want to do lawyer speak right now because it's related to this topic, and the expression I use is contributory negligence. The definition of this is that an injured person has done something to contribute to their own injury, and the best possible example I can give you is not wearing a seatbelt. Would you believe that if you have an accident and you're not wearing your seatbelt and you sue somebody for damages, your damages can be reduced by 25 or even 35% because you didn't wear your seatbelt and thereby contributed to your own injury. We're going to talk about a case, that one involving Stage West. The woman who was a quadriplegic in that was not wearing her seatbelt. Minor accident, but still serious consequences. So stay with us. We're going to talk a little bit more about commercial host liability and also occupier's liability. Stuff you need to know. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back to Strictly Legal. Tonight we're talking about social host liability, how to have safe Christmas parties, safe New Year's parties. Stacey Stevens is with me. Stacey, we use the expression occupier's liability. I always like people to know what we're talking about. What is occupier's liability?
Basically what it means is that as a person who either owns the property or is living at the property, that you have a responsibility to make sure that your premises are reasonably safe for anybody who comes to your house.
So these are the rules that govern somebody falls on a broken step, they slip on an icy patch, you've done something internal in your house that a railing's not on somewhere and they injure themselves. That body of law is called occupier's liability. Okay. So let's say you're throwing a party and somebody's injured in your house, like this one you mentioned, the girls having the Halloween party. That's going to be governed by occupier's liability.
Yes.
And homeowners can be liable in a situation like that.
Yes, they can.
And their homeowner's policy, we hope, if they've got one, will cover them.
Yes.
So let's take it out of the house, back to the commercial situation. That case of two ball players who ended up in a bar, driving a truck. With these commercial hosts, a bar, tavern owner, what are they doing internally to watch people who are being served there, overserved?
There's this, like we talked about the Smart Serve training program. And the responsibility really comes down to each individual waiter or waitress or the bartender to really pay close attention and make sure that they They watch for the visible signs of intoxication. Are their eyes red? Are they slurring their words? Are they stumbling if they get up to use the washroom or to go somewhere else in the bar?
Right. We got another caller, Dan in Grand Prairie. Hi, Dan.
Yes, good evening,
Thanks
folks.
for calling.
My question is, you're hosting a party, and the guests are bringing their own, and they overindulge, and there ends up being a problem. What is the liability on that particular situation?
Okay.
I'll hang up and listen to your answer.
Thank you. You're not supplying any booze?
No.
They bring their own?
They bring their own. And that's exactly what happened in the Zoe Childs case, the one that we talked about earlier that went to the Supreme Court of Canada. That was a BYOB party.
Right.
Everybody brought their own alcohol. So again, it makes it more difficult to establish liability. If you're not serving the alcohol, if you're not doing anything to exacerbate or to worsen or intensify the risk of harm to third parties, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for the court to find you liable.
Right. Let's see if we can squeeze in one more call. We've got Liz in London. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
Hi, quickly, what's your question?
Yes, I have an 18-year-old who's having a party tomorrow night.
Oh, boy.
And just wondering what our liabilities are, if anything were to happen.
Thanks for that call. You've got worries that I would have, an 18-year-old, because first of all, they're under the age of majority, so any alcohol that's being consumed there, you got a problem with it. I hope you've got homeowners insurance, and you should be regulating it. I did a case actually a few years ago where the parents supervised everything, and despite that, kids still got into a fight. A kid's face was slashed. The parents ended up being sued. You've got to stay involved and really monitor what's going on at that party if you want to avoid liability. Stacey, I want to say thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure again.
Fantastic.
No, it was great.
And we'll have to have you back. I want to update people on the adoption stuff. Before we go, I want to say this. This is our last show for 2007, and my gosh, we've covered a lot of stuff this year. It's been fantastic. People have sent in great suggestions for shows. We've got some terrific topics coming up in 2008. If you've got an idea, send it in to us. By all means, we'll use it. I want to say to you, though, please have a very safe and Merry Christmas. Have a very safe New Year's. Be careful out there. Look after your families. And be mindful of the other people who are on the road, because they're the ones who get hurt if somebody is over-serving. Just be careful. Thanks for watching. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.